person. It's right here.
Is that timber tax? You should have two on the timber tax.
We did, we have a
Okay.
front one and second to last. Oh, and then here's two as well.
All right,
We're good.
we're good.
Welcome everyone to tonight's select board meeting, April 20th. Sorry for being 2 minutes late. So we've almost full board. We can bring out Stephen Whitley on screen and that, and Steve Lux, and some plan to not join us tonight. So first up is points at crime.
I have a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Where do I start? Just a huge thanks to our fire chief and police chief, Jeff Donahoe, and our human services folks who've been really trying to help a resident and have done a really great job of doing what they can. So kudos to them. Yesterday, and I don't know if you want to talk about the recognition that two of your people received yesterday.
Sure. So over last summer in a Market Basket parking lot in Warner.
I think
there
you
was
need,
an incident with
I think you need to come to the mic. Sorry, I'm not picking you at. Sorry.
Yeah, over last summer, I'm not sure of the date, but there was a incident where the ambulance was dispatched to the address of Nichols Mill Road in Warner. That's where the Market Basket is there, and they had a ramp truck or some sort with a guy stuck in it, so they had to do a technical rescue. And then we took care of the patient afterwards, and they were put in for a technical rescue award, which they were awarded the summer, so the outcome was really well done, really well on the whole incident, but our part was the EMS portion of that, so two of our responders got recognized for that, as well as some of the people that did the technical rescue itself and more. That's great.
So that would be Stephanie Costello and Thomas Jondal.
John, yeah.
Yep.
Good for them, thank you.
The other one I have was a thank you from a resident to our assessor and his assistant. She said, thank you for coming out to my house. You were very well informed about my concerns. She had expected an unpleasant experience, but had the exact opposite, and just really wanted to let the town know thank you. And she has confidence in what we're doing here. So kudos team.
All right, thank you. Anyone else want anything for points of crime? Okay, the next is administrative. First is approval of the consent agenda.
I have one note on the consent agenda. You will see in there that we are approving a land use change tax for the Wilders. The process for that is we have to actually bill them, then they can come and ask forgiveness for that bill. So it's not like another group or, committee can ask on their behalf, but it's not that much, but
And that was the, that's because it was just sort of a technicality that was missed when they donated land.
no, this is how I checked with New Hampshire Municipal, and this is how it goes. Because technically they have to do the subdivision and then they donate the land, so that it's the subdivision, the change that triggers the invoice. So, yeah. And that was a really interesting question, because I had asked Rick Evans at the Department of Revenue about it, and he's been doing this stuff for a long time, and he said that's a really good question. So we got the process.
Good.
I'll make a motion to approve the April 20th consent agenda.
All those in favor? And then we have one set of public meeting minutes. It feels like a lifetime ago. February.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, no,
I'm almost done with the next one, almost.
I think you guys had a lot of minutes too, so, it just feels like a different era. Any comments or discussion on? You did not know.
I did not have any
Oh.
comments.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the February 9th, 2026 meeting minutes.
Second. Right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you. So we have 3 public appointments. The first one is with GPL.
Having me, good afternoon.
Being here.
So I am here this evening to release some of the money in the CIP for the forestry project that was approved for this year. Maybe I'll give you a little background. I'm not sure if you all understand the forestries that we have. We have 2 of them. The other one is a 2020 2, and that was replaced. That is a multi-purpose pickup truck with a 4-person cab. Some of our deficiencies these days are CDLs. It's become increasingly more expensive to get people and hard to get their licenses. So a lot of our people can respond and do some of the more minor calls in these 2 trucks. Forestry 2 has a plows our parking lot. We also take it on real snowy days, so we can get the ambulance or fire truck into the residence yard. It also doubles, it has a skid unit, so like this time of year when we have a real high fire danger. Its primary responsibilities would be to respond as a secondary forestry. The truck that we're replacing is the primary forestry. It's a 2002. Getting pretty tired, had an engine. It's probably not long before it needs a transmission, needs tires. Haven't done some of that work just due to the fact that we were gonna chance it and with a known replacement. So these trucks are generally bought through the state bid. I had originally spec'd it out for a Chevrolet. This year Dodge did do a state bid, and it's through Hillsborough Dodge. The Chevrolet's through a place in Ohio, which we did the last one. Talked to the guy, they were great, and came on a car carrier. They dropped it off in the backyard. Said, have a nice day, sent us a bill. Hillsborough Dodge, we bought a couple of our ambulance chassis through them. Very easy to do a lot of our service for ambulances up there. The Dodge is $10,000 cheaper than the Chevrolet, so I did go up and look at one. That's the package for the state bid. Seems to be able to, a truck that's got the GVW can do everything that we're looking to do with this, and was $10,000 less than the Chevrolet.
What's the GVW?
The gross vehicle weight when it's loaded.
Right.
So it's just under 12,000 pounds. The other one, which is a little bit bigger of a truck, because it's 4-door, weighs 10,400 when it's loaded. So it's a 1-ton chassis, 2 wheels in the back instead of 4. Virtually replacing identically what we had before, the 2002 model, which is a 4 chassis. That truck's gonna be similar to this one. The project was funded last time we replaced something that was from the 50s that we had built in-house. We acquired the truck, a body, a pump. So we're gonna do something very similar this time. Between the highway department and what we can do right in the fire station to switch the body over. And it's got a skid unit that we're gonna rehabilitate. It's a plastics slide-in unit. It's about 20 years old. We're gonna our plan would be to put a pump, a motor, all the piping, and a new hose on the reel for that. And it saves about half the cost of the skid unit. And where the tank's plastic, it should last that time. There's a lot of other like miscellaneouses on this. If we are able to order the truck, it's probably 3 to 4 months away. So that'll give us time to acquire those other pieces, but the 2 large pieces of the project are here. So the truck, state bid Dodge 1-ton pickup truck is $46,292. And all the pieces for the rehab of the pump, less the shipping, they haven't figured that out yet, is just under 9,888, 46.95. And I would like permission to start ordering some of these pieces for this truck. And the pump is what my plan would be for that would be in the summer where we have 2 forestries after the rush of the season goes through. We're waiting for the one in the fall. Would be to pull that skid unit out in the fire station, be able to do that work right there and change this over. And have it ready, so when we get the new truck, we'll be able to virtually slide right in. And that portion of the project will be done.
What's the total cost, chief?
The total is like 95,000.
Oh,
We'll probably be under that.
Did I, 47 approximately for the truck,
Yep,
9,000 for the various pieces of equipment.
yeah, that's just for the pump. And then there'll be some miscellaneous stuff for the truck, radio stuff, they'll have to have a bumper that will accommodate a winch, some compartment work, lights and, radio installation.
That brings us to about 57, but then you said the overall ask is like 95, so
Yeah,
let's,
we're probably gonna be a little under budget on this project.
okay.
The truck was $10,000 less, and that was the state bid price from last year.
No, I hear you, but I'm trying to add up the numbers you said, and you said 47,000 truck, 9,000 for equipment, that gets us to 56, 57.
That doesn't include any of the lights or any of the installation work,
Okay. Yeah,
any of the miscellaneous pieces. There's a lot of wiring that's gonna be involved.
so the total ask to us though is 95.
Yeah, well, that's what's in CIP.
Okay,
25 last year and 75 this year.
okay. And is this from a fund?
This is from the, was it the fire heavy?
Fire,
I don't have my
fire
CIP.
department equipment replacement.
The
Yeah,
CRF?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Because in the past, we've approved the funds and then between the town administrator and myself, I've gone and been, okay, your money's there. Put a proposal in front of the town administrator and then we move forward and town administrator was just able to. Because the vote was something, a different process than what I was used to when I did that, so. Yep.
Do we need a motion or consensus?
I mean, this gets back to the process kind of we talked about last year, where I'm not sure how much authorization the town administrator has on behalf of the town to spend, sums of money. This is something that's that's outside the operating budget, obviously. I think it's a good practice for, large expenditures to come before the board, even though they're in the CIP and they're being planned for. Sometimes things happen unexpectedly and we tap into money that's in the CIP, and understanding that we're going to be swapping something out. So I still think it's a good idea for the board to approve it.
If we're spending from a CRF, that whatever article set that up should say who has the authority to spend.
Select board has the authority to expend, yes. Yep.
And yeah, I would make a motion to expend, what was the dollar figure?
Up to,
Up to $95,000
Yeah.
per the request from Chief Yale. Second.
All those in
I
favor?
think it would just save a lot of, coming back and forth, because over the next, 3 or 4 months, I'm gonna try to order the rest of the parts to have them here, so when we get the project moving, we can just install and, get this done and move forward.
All in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Okay. Next. Beverly, construction oversight for septic lagoons.
how exciting does that sound?
It actually is very exciting. Well, we get here, but, good evening, Madam Chair and Select Board. Today, staff seeking authorization from the town administrator to execute a construction phase contract for professional services with Novus Engineering for the study of the project. Again, the contract is for professional services, the construction of design, for the closure project for an amount not to exceed $494,160,022. So, a full description of services is provided in the contract, I believe is in your packet. You can see the complete list of services in section A1 and A2, and it includes, systems and construction bids, bid opening, tabulation, analysis of the bids, and awarding of the contract, in coordination with NHDES, checking detailed construction shop and, erection drawings submitted by the contractor, reviewing laboratory shop and test reports for materials and equipment, preparation of drawings and technical materials required to supplement contract documents, review and verification of payments, inspections of work, final inspection, and one registered professional engineer on the project as needed for part-time. The contract has also been reviewed by NHDES, who likes this document for town of Hopkinton. Steps would be environmental review, which we don't get the documents submitted this week. The documents should be ready for review by NHDES mid-May. And we are sort of gearing up to proceed to construction this summer. And glad to answer any questions you might have.
So the engineers sign it. It comes to us, we sign it, then it goes to the water division of DES and they sign it. And then environmental review.
Yes, this contract will be executed, I think, once they approve it and sign it, and then we will move into an environmental review phase where we post it. Typically, it's a posting of the documents and an invitation of public comment for a period of not less than a month. They have, I would say they have tentatively agreed to let us go ahead and if that overlaps with the period for bidding the project out, to potentially do those concurrently to expedite the project, but those are the next phases. We hope to have a contractor selected. I'd say early summer.
And Novus makes that decision.
In consultation with the town, and we also are in consultation with HDES as they review the bid documents, and I think our final selection is also subject to HDES. Okay, it was every step of the way, I think HDES reviews our documents and our selection, make sure it's towards.
So is the 494,000 number, is that not to exceed?
Is a not to exceed number. I think that it could come in lower. This is just the top end of the services.
So I know that there's already been money spent on this project. And so if this is a construction phase, then this money flowing through the engineers would end up paying for equipment and I'm confused, why does it cost $4 million? Like, is it the materials that aren't included in this number?
So once we get the bid documents prepared, it is for the construction work. The first portion of that is removal of the wood residuals and watering, and then they essentially do a footprint for the prep and laying out the lining. And this is a two-phase project. Some will begin this summer, some will begin. It is an expensive project. I think they bid this project out, and I recall, we still here. It was when I submitted the application, which was, I guess, coming up on 2 years. This is like in the second cycle we submitted for. And I think they projected, what they expected the cost would be. I asked if we are still within the range. He says, as far as he can tell, we are. This last time I checked in with him, that was before I think fuel costs had gone up. There is some concern there, but we're watching it. But it's my understanding that this is what it costs to close that monofil.
Absolutely. So I'm just wondering, what part of the project does this $494,000 cover?
This is for engineering services and oversight of the construction. I kind of gave a little bit of listing, but it helps us to prepare the bid documents for review by HDES, and then selection of a contractor, analysis of the bids, There's likely to be questions from contractors, and those will be submitted to us, and they'll help us prepare the addendum to the bid. And then ultimately, the contractors will be submitting their own schedule and plans that will have to be reviewed by engineering services. All the invoices will also be reviewed. There will be oversight of the testing of materials that will be coming in. I think it was called a laboratory shop and test reports, materials and equipment. They'll be reviewing that. Any preparation of drawings or technical material as required to clarify the contract documents if they run into a question. And there's additional sort of clarification to be done by a licensed engineer, and drawings, they'll prepare those as well. Inspection of the work of the contractors they'll be doing with an on-site as needed professional civil engineer. So it is a lot of technical work that I think we'll be doing with them, and that of course I'm helping.
Right, no, I get that.
So I think I was really glad to hear they'll be involved. It wasn't originally part of the contract, the construction, bid oversight, selection, reviewing, and addendum preparation, tabulation, helping us to pick the best contender for the system as possible. That's what this covers. This is the first thing, this first contract we're going to, I understand, is also related to the construction contract. Hopefully we'll have that in the next couple months.
So this covers everything you said, testing oversight for all phases?
Yes.
Okay,
This is to the end of the project, and it includes the final inspection. And I believe it also, I think I double checked, but also includes the final testing. That need to happen at the very end of the project. And as you might recall, subsequent rounds of testing will be part of the monitoring wells that will already be present.
so this does not include anything regarding the crack landfill cap.
This is not, and I provided to you in your, I think you had a little table, there's. So like this tells you, because I know there's been a lot of question, this kind of gives you a little kind of separation, and Karen's going to talk to you later about the wastewater condition assessment, which just completed. And we should get some reports on that, and she'll be talking to you about that later. But this really relates to the septic enclosure at the transfer station. And the sludge, this also is related to the sludge removal at the wastewater treatment. So those projects are moving together. Now that we have final closure approval, we've been waiting for that. It's been a technical document. That this technology has not been used in the state of New Hampshire. It's part of the reason it was funded. And so we're the first to use monofilament technology for the closure of a septic lagoon. There's 13 states involved in this example. There's a lot of review. We finally have an approved closure plan, which will also affect the second little pie wedge, which is the sludge removal at the wastewater treatment site. Once that plan is approved, it includes the bringing of that to the lagoons, which will provide significant savings to the town. So I hope this helps, as the cap is not in here at all. This is mostly wastewater items and the separate topic.
Cap is a whole separate circle.
It's a different circle, and it lives somewhere else. Although it is effective to a certain degree.
We had our council look at this.
No.
It's pretty standard
This-
contract from the state.
It is.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, I think we just got it in the last day or so.
Yeah.
And I looked at how it was executed before, because, council approved us to form, and that never was, we never executed that section of it in previous contracts with initiatives. This is like they do have a standardized contract.
There's a motion on the back of the agenda if you wanted to tackle that.
Happy to make the motion. I'll give one up.
I know he likes to read things. That's okay. Yeah, you go for it.
I move that the board authorize the town administrator, Karen Hamilton, to execute any documents necessary to effectuate the construction phase contract for professional services for the septic lagoon closure process. Second.
All in favor?
Ah,
Thank you.
And so it begins, the big project, right? Here we go. Thanks, Beverly.
Beverly, good job.
All right, next up, Chief Hennessy, talk about.
Thank you so much for sending me these pages. It was quite a read.
I'll just my tire.
Cool. I like it.
Well, thanks for coming in.
Sure.
So you sent us like 70 pages of correspondence with McLean
Yeah, that's,
and DOT.
I have more of it, but I figured that was probably a good start. It's been ongoing for a long
So
time.
if you run out of reading material,
Yeah, and the DOT person does seem sympathetic.
Yeah,
in
he was supposed to be here
the
tonight,
correspondence.
unfortunately, he couldn't make it, and then another, couple of other people from the Troop G State Police were supposed to come, but they weren't able to make it, but they're willing to come later if you guys have questions.
Where are we now?
Kind of at a standstill, McLean has implemented some new policies as the trucks can only arrive at a certain time. If they arrive too early or too late, they get fined. This is one of the emails that should have just said a lot of what they were trying to do. Unfortunately, it's just either they get laxed or it just doesn't work and the trucks get backed up. Did you download any of those videos or pictures that have an USB?
I did not. I thought, no, sorry.
It's okay.
I thought the USB was the documents.
No,
Oh,
it was
okay.
just photos in the video. I had some photos and videos just so you guys can see what was going on, but the biggest issue is that guard shack. Ever since that guard shack's got put into place, the issue's been going on. It's probably 15 years ago but when the gates close, they inspect the trucks at that gate, so the gates close, there's probably room for maybe 2 tractor trailer trucks to be in there. And then when they back up further, they back up on the roadway. And I don't necessarily blame the trucks because they don't know the area. I mean, they're 45-foot plus trucks. They can't turn around just anywhere. So they're skeptical of going past McLean's because they don't know where it's gonna take them or where they're gonna be able to turn around. So they park on the side of the road or they block the roadway, which isn't the correct thing to do, but and we can cite them, we can do all that stuff. The issue is those truckers come for once a year, every 2 years, you know, they deliver all over the place. So it's not the same trucks coming. So we can find everybody, but it's not gonna help the issue because it's different trucks coming each time. The issue is more with McLean's, I feel.
They're pretty much maxed out on their land, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, in some of these emails, it sounded like there might have been some conversation about them. Suggesting that they might want to acquire some additional land across the road. Has that grown any legs?
McLean's doesn't want to spend the dime, doesn't want to do anything. You know, even possibly like a right turn lane, or, you know, like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Associated Grocers over in Pembroke, they have like a parking area off the driveway for like 5 or 6 trucks to park, if they're there early or whatever, so, and they can stay there, then when it's their time, they can go in. McLean's has no place for trucks to queue up and wait to go in.
And DOT doesn't have any suggestions.
Mr. Rodriguez kind of feels that the town would have more ammo to use against them, I guess, than the state would. The state talked about, because it's a state road, they have a driveway permit with the state. He talked about taking that out, but I don't know necessarily what that would do.
Well, that's where my mind's going, like if there, I mean, it doesn't seem like we have many levers to pull here, and one would be if it's violating some sort of ordinance or the permitting is what I was thinking, or is there some other type of like licensing or something to run in place that like.
I don't know if zoning issue or, I'm not sure.
Are they violating a ordinance? I don't know.
Possibly parking, but again, that's, you're gonna go after the truckers for that, in my eyes, you know.
So, I was just gonna say, so safety seems to be the biggest,
Absolutely. Yeah.
strongest argument.
Other than fining, it sounds like that's our only. It's our only tool we can really implement on them.
Pretty much, and I tried to work with them more so than against them, because they are a very big business. They obviously pay a lot of tax and so. I'm not trying to run in there and say, you know, you have to do this, you have to do that. I'm trying to work with them, or I have been at least.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
And the fines, I mean, you'd be fining the drivers or the company.
Well, for stuff like stop and standing parking, that's like a motor vehicle thing, so that would be the drivers.
Okay.
And I don't think that's gonna get us very far, and if it does, it's gonna take a long time.
Right.
So,
Because it's probably different drivers.
Exactly.
Almost every day.
right, if it was the same drivers, I could hit them once and probably say, they'd be like, oh, okay, can't do that, but then you get the different drivers from different companies from different parts of the US, you know, so. You could do 100 of them, and the next 100 are gonna be new ones that aren't aware of what's going on. So.
Right, and it's an administrator down in Georgia who's actually gonna process the ticket.
Well, I'm guessing most of the drivers don't work.
Is there any basis to somehow fine McLean, the company?
It's a nuisance and they're causing safety issue and.
Big safety issue, yeah, I mean, because if, I wish you could get the pictures of the video, but when they're all backed up on the road. Cars don't wanna wait, you know, and see the later at night, this usually happens. I would say between 6 and 8 at night. And cars don't wanna wait, so they go, you can't see around the trucks either, you know, so cars go around blindly and then. You know, they meet head on some, if they're not going too fast. We haven't had too many accidents, I can think of 2 or 3. You know, since I've been there, but it's just, it could be worse, you know.
Yeah, and when it's nicer out now with motorcycles,
Yeah.
it's even harder. If I had a motorcycle, I would wanna just pop around it.
It's just got a slight enough bend that you just can't look around and see if there's another car coming, but.
And so I'm a little unclear on like why, like they can't just like let them in, because it's a pain for them. Is that the issue or like?
Yeah, the trucks need to be inspected.
Yeah.
So they put 2 guard check security officers in there instead of 1. They're trying to get through it a little faster. But they need to check, I guess, there's like a special tag on the lock of the trailer so that they know it wasn't open, nothing was taken or. So they inspect the trucks, and I wanna say it takes 2-3 minutes to inspect 1 truck. 2-3 minutes is a long time when you get 5 trucks backed up behind you, you know? They were at one point. Once that happened, they'd open the gate, just let the trucks in and then inspect them in there, but they don't wanna do that for. Their policy purposes, and they don't like having too many trucks on the property because of their insurance. You know, that once they're on their property, they're their liability for the most part, so they like to get them in and out of there as quick as they can.
I know they don't like it, but they're creating a safety and hazard issue for the town on a state road, so like, sorry, guys, I mean, I know it's not ideal, but. I think we don't have a lot of options, so I'm just wondering what people think about like, I don't know. I don't know when you last had a conversation with them, because I know, like, yeah, we don't wanna be like fire and brimstone here, but like, we can't have this continue. So I don't know if you wanna take another step, kind of talk to them, or if you wanna like send a letter or something, or.
I was gonna suggest, I'd like to hear from DOT and the state police. If they're willing to come in and talk to us. I mean, because there's gotta be something else, it's a state highway,
Yeah.
DOT has a driveway permit. I mean, those are the things that are gonna get, to me, it seems like you're gonna get McLean's attention. More than us finding the actual drivers. Yeah, I'd like to try to get them in here, to hear what they.
I know Mr. Rodriguez had. Sent them a letter, I don't know if that was included, if you guys got that, I also sent them one. I don't know if that was in there. But, yeah, I'm sure I could get them to come and answer some more questions.
That would be great.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I mean, is it worth telling the people on McLean again that like we're struggling with this, we're gonna be talking to DOT? or-
I personally think that would be the next step. Because I drafted a letter, Mr. Rodriguez has drafted a letter, you know, so maybe something coming from you and. You know, that'll put them on notice and then, you know, at some point, I'm sure you would like to have them answer questions directly, you know, so. Representative from there.
Yeah.
Didn't come.
So maybe we do both things,
I think that's a good idea.
okay? Um,
And we could invite them, I mean, whenever we get something scheduled with DOT, we could invite them
yeah,
to the discussion. That seems like the appropriate thing to do, whether they show up.
I think Mr. Rodriguez, same thing, he said, you know, if he was to come, it might be beneficial to have the things or representative.
Yeah, yeah.
all right, well, maybe we'll send a note with an invite saying date TBD, but we'd like to talk further about this.
With Jose Restrepo, Senior Director of Construction and Real Estate.
Maybe.
Meanwhile, I'll try and get you some of those pictures.
Some of them are in.
Yeah, there are some.
There are a couple,
Yeah.
yeah, it's an overhead of the facility.
Oh, yeah.
So you can see sort of a proper layout.
I'm looking on our tax maps, which always have, leave a little room for, you know, leeway. But they seem to have quite a bit of land out back. Even, well, there's, there, it does look like it's wet along the side, but there's some, I mean, they have 50 some odd acres in their parcel.
And the problem is they are the ones who control the situation, though, so,
I guess it's all about that guard check,
yeah.
you know, they just,
Well, maybe move it in further, I don't know, I know they don't wanna deal with it, but the answer is not to create hazardous situations with the town.
I mean, I agree, I feel like we don't have much
I don't know.
leverage to sort of compel them to take that.
Yeah.
Oh. That seriously, so having DOT and state police
Mhm.
on our side.
state police mentioned the only thing they could really do was, you know, the truck enforcement. But like he said, it's like, we can do that, but the next round of trucks are gonna be totally something different, you know, so. But I said that you guys might have questions that he might be able to answer.
Well, maybe word gets out to, trucks that. They get tickets or whatever, and then they'll take it up with the plane, I don't know.
I feel like it's more DOT than state police that has the leverage.
I will, try to bring some of those photos and get next time for you over, get it to Karen.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I thought that was, it was just duplicated.
Right, well, so if you. You have thoughts on the best person to try to deal with that?
I've been in touch with the president, so I'll probably go with him.
Okay.
I'm sure he'll probably with him himself.
Okay. So do you wanna have a conversation with him, and tell him that we talked about this and would like to. Talk further, or do you want us to send? Over,
Either way, it's fine with me, I don't mind talking to him.
Okay.
So,
alright, well, since you've been the messenger for, we can stick with that. If you don't mind.
yeah, no, that's not,
Okay,
do you guys have a preference on which meeting?
well, I just need to figure out. Getting in touch with someone at DOT.
I gotta,
Yeah.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Okay.
yeah, he's the assistant director.
Alright, well, maybe we start with them.
You know what our meeting schedule is? We have it, what, May 11th and then Memorial Day, so we have to move that one. If we choose, but though, you know, I would say sooner is better. If we can get it on the 11th, great. Otherwise,
I'll try the 11th and I'll
The-
put it in the morning.
Just bump out. Like six.
to the Tuesday, yeah.
We'll keep.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
You're
TJ.
Thank you.
Thank you, chief.
Off the front.
Next up, it's not administrator.
Oh, boy. Okay. I received a call from a resident on Main Street, sorry about that, in Kentucky Village, pretty much, concerning, the speeding that comes down Indian Ridge Hill, or down from Indian Ridge into the village, that hill there. I think it drops from 35 to, yeah, or 45 to 30. And he doesn't feel people are slowing down. likewise, they seem to be, especially if they're motorcycles, be speeding as they leave the village and zip up the hill. It just feels like, and I should have grabbed the chief, but
Well, they have
Um,
like little
Mhm.
light up things on right now.
oh, they do, okay, okay, so maybe
If
he,
you're coming down, it's, cause they move it, and we only have like two.
okay, they move him around then, and
Yeah, they
he
do.
noted that too, that, they move him around, but doesn't seem to slow people down, so he's concerned and frustrated and, used to not mind doing yard work, now he's nervous because people are going by so quickly. The other thing you brought up were junky yards and or junk yards. And he was saying that there's a number of them around town. We got into a conversation about, different people and have different intentions with their yards and things like that. But he's concerned that some of these places are just a little bit out of control and wonders sort of what the town's position is on enforcing the junkyard ordinance and or the junkie yard ordinance.
I don't remember us doing that since I've been.
Well, we would need to adopt a property maintenance code in our zoning ordinance.
But I don't think, I'm not aware of us ever doing it. Maybe that's because we haven't had a property that is deserving, but.
We did something similar, or did enforce something in my previous town, and it can be time consuming and expensive. Ultimately, a lien was placed on their property. But it also, I think, needs to be equally enforced. So we can't just, maybe you choose a couple that, or, 5 or 10 that seem to be the worst. But after that, you need to, be thorough.
Did this person identify the properties they were worried about?
He listed off a number just in his neighborhood and then, talked about other ones around town that were.
I don't suppose anyone in town hall has had a chance to put eyes on any of those.
Drive by any of them, no. He mentioned, I think there's one right across the street and we talked about the one that's on is it the Hopkinton Webster Warner line?
It's not.
Not in Hopkinton.
It's not.
Okay,
So,
that one we can't do anything with.
yeah. no,
Okay,
Boards.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing one certain.
To do something, it is a very long process and it is very expensive, so.
I mean, I guess it's hard for me to evaluate what to do.
Yeah.
Unless the conditions of the property are really sort of screaming out for some sort of action.
Yeah, it's like a nuisance issue, right?
Basically.
Well, as I listened to this person talk, I kind of realized, we all have different standards of clean and appearance and what's important to us. So it's,
So there's motor vehicle junk. Yeah, so you can like run junkyards, you just have to like get.
be licensed, yeah. And anything, it's no longer unregistered, I don't think, because people were coming in and registering heaps.
Yeah.
It's now two what are they, not uninspectable, but now we don't have inspections anymore.
Not fit for highway.
Not fit for highway, or the parts and pieces amounting to 2 vehicles.
Only have one junk.
Oh, it's one now and not 2?
Or
Okay,
There's a control and junk webinar, municipal association. Oh, Garden Woods. I know what I'm. Okay, so, I mean, I guess. I've never heard of this really being a problem in town, so.
I mean, I can certainly reach back out to that individual and ask
We have specific.
them to, identify some specific concerns.
Junkyard operating without a license is a nuisance. isn't allowed under your zoning ordinance. Definitions of all.
Yeah, if we have a zoning language, then the enforcement is twofold, it's the zoning enforcement and the state law. If we don't have anything, we can still do state law.
It's a nuisance, rubbish, and other gross things. Wonder if that's actually, it says in statute. State chapter.
Tell you, it does not.
Okay. Well, so. Yeah, I just don't know what we have on the books, so we don't. Have anything, and we'll be defaulting to. State standards.
Usually the zoning local definition is the same as the state one.
So, how do we pursue, get a list of concerning properties from this
I
person?
mean,
This is the first time somebody's come to me and said, I'm worried about these things.
Karen, you may have some insight.
Okay.
on This issue and then the properties this person identified. I mean, I would maybe check with her
Okay,
first and maybe get if she can identify, the 3 worst ones. And they sort of line up with what this person says, it might be worth a drive-by visit.
okay.
But yeah.
Because if it's not an issue of junk. Being piled up and people, and it's like a house falling apart or whatever, it's given to the. It's like a public health, nuisance or whatever, and then we have to have GPL inspect and. I think in my time, one time, there was a house that was a health hazard.
We do in our zoning have junkyards and they're prohibited in all districts, so. If it rises to that level, we could enforce as a zoning violation.
Okay,
But having like. Stuff in your yard that somebody doesn't like, not being.
yeah,
Not
you know,
necessarily, that's so sure.
five picnic tables, and yeah. Yeah,
I mean, usually. I've done a fair number of these, and usually you wanna take pictures of what the materials are, because that's better than somebody describing it, because they tend to. Characterize it in a much different way than maybe we would characterize it, so.
and then if there's any potential for, like you said, hazardous material or anything
Yeah.
leaking or whatever, okay. I will start with Karen. A little note from Alyssa, she wanted to confirm with everybody that we are a go for the senior lunch on September 9th. I think she sent out an email and it came back confirmed from Paula. And she can connect.
We heard Jeff.
With Steve to see which one of you folks wants to take on the planning of the food, unless somebody's really excited. Let's jump in there, Sabrina, I see your eyes.
I feel like people don't like.
I'm president.
Polenta. That's funny, I never used one.
I love polenta.
I like one.
Last time we talked about sewer rates, how the town had discussed last year going up 30% a year. I'd love to get something into the sewer bills before they go out in May. I'm proposing that we have a very quick public hearing on May 11th I think it's cleaner just to have another public hearing and, reiterate that we're moving forward with this. So I'm going to schedule that for the 11th, if that works for you folks. And Amesbury Road, circling back on that, Dan and I spoke to Dan, expressed the concerns or passed them along. And it's nothing he hasn't heard. He says that the chip sealing does remain the best process for extending the life of that road. They will be sweeping soon. Some towns have already started. Actually, I think he said this morning they were sweeping this week, so that will help. Warner and Webster are coming to visit on the town administrators or designees are coming on Wednesday. We're going to dive into the ambulance agreement, kind of just do a cursory, okay, let's have a look at this. We haven't dusted it off since, I don't know, 2011 or something like that. So we're starting that process. The Plan New Hampshire, that one, I think we started talking about that last week and did not really, I don't think we finished.
Yeah,
Do we want to partner on that one?
so this is the event.
That is the
May
question.
6th. And.
I think there was some info in last week's, or last meeting's.
Okay, so. For the town of formal partner. I put the town seal on our promo graphics. That was for Anna. Who was playing the picture.
Yeah.
So we can join officially, join a network of companies, municipalities, and nonprofits who share a passion to build environment and impact on health environments and communities across New Hampshire. Municipal membership is free for 2026 in celebration of the 30th anniversary of our community design charrette program. Membership benefits include discounted rates for events, networking, educational training, direct access to community resources, activities, statewide partners, online listing of your community, showing your municipality support mission, priority consideration for community design charrette programs. To activate membership, just simply reply to this email. Yeah, I don't think we actually talked about joining officially. Well, there's joining and then there's partnering for the event.
Right, right.
I would be in favor of both. I don't see why we wouldn't take them up on a free membership.
I agree.
Okay.
And I also think, I don't have any issue with partnering them on that basics event, if we don't have to contribute anything financially or.
Just bring your face for a little while. And just, yeah, support their,
It was an email that Anna sent.
In,
Sorry.
in our prior,
It was
it was
just-
in the prior packet.
Wait, I think I forwarded it to Karen, but now I
I
don't.
think it was in the packet.
From a couple weeks ago.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
411.
Oh, my,
Yeah.
I agree with you, it's pretty, see a lot of downside of this.
I would double check with Anna if and when I say yes, making sure that it's not like some. You know, auto sign on next year.
okay.
Yeah.
Let's see how it can work if we want to community members. Steve and Vicky, do you guys have concerns with joining?
Do you have concerns?
Is would everyone be okay with me like officially partners so they can put for the event on these six, use like our town seal?
I think that's probably a nice gesture where they're actually bringing, you know, if they're holding it in Kentucky Village.
Yeah, I don't think I have that one in this space. Yeah, sure, I'll send this to you.
You want me to read it?
Sure. You good? Yeah, absolutely. Seems like fun. Seems like it's like a free membership for the year,
Yeah,
so we're gonna have to find out
yeah, I'll check with Anna.
what the renewal rate is.
Yeah. I will follow up with Anna on that.
Yeah, I think it was in the 4-6 meeting. Plan NH email, was that the one?
So this has mark your calendars and we'd like you to partner with this event, but it doesn't have like
All that stuff.
all the things about how,
Benefits of membership.
yeah, the
Yeah.
benefits of membership. I didn't get that
I
one.
don't remember seeing it either. Okay.
That sounds good.
Okay, we will do that. Now on to the exciting part. The sewer scoping was done over the past 2 weeks. They wrapped up last Thursday. This is part of $120,000 project with 100,000 being a grant from New Hampshire DES. It involves scoping and cleaning the sewer lines for 3.5 miles. There were a few locations that were identified that were experiencing infiltration, which refers to unwanted water entering the sewer system from groundwater sources. So that would be areas where the groundwater was, the pressure was higher and it was kind of seeping in. There was also a fair amount of grease accumulation in the downtown pipes, which was addressed. The pictures were really yucky. I saw them, they were awful. So we don't know where the grease is coming from or came from. Hard telling how old it was. So that may or may not, we may get more information when we get the actual report, or it may just be a mystery.
But they cleaned it.
Yes. Oh, and the before and after is amazing. I mean, the before was like, you know, a hole this big, and then it opened up to like a foot wide pipe. Yeah. Yeah. We have healthy little pipes now downtown. Staff recommends distributing a FOG newsletter, Fats, Oils, and Grease, or posting educational content on social media, town websites, etc. Similarly, over by the Slusser Center, there were a number of things that they found in the system there. And apparently some of the bathrooms, or a bathroom, they are plunging like every other day to clear, which means that there are wipes and other non-toilet paper items going down the toilet and making a mess. So they were able to deal with that and unplug that.
Have they put up some like clear signage? It's like not flush pipe.
We will be doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like as a general rule are very lax if they know they're on a system that's not their home, and so. I mean, I now see signs everywhere being, please don't flush.
Please don't flush.
Wipes and like, because if it's not, you know, it's just, you're like, oh, it's not my issue, so I can just flush it over the top of the toilet.
Right.
It's going somewhere.
It's going somewhere.
Yeah.
Several manholes along Park Street and Maple Street had been paved over with their covers now buried 6 to 8 inches below the surface. Staff is working with Hazen and Sawyer on those to figure out how we can bring them to the surface, because they will greatly improve the accessibility of those pipes. So, that's the,
New Hampshire paved over them.
I don't think it was the town of Hopkinton.
That mean we can push the costs onto the state.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
We can certainly try. So that's it.
So what can we do to help David get that fats, oils, and grease stuff into people's inboxes, or?
Yeah, Beverly, I think, is a good person to work on it. She was working
Great.
closely with Dave through this process.
What not to flush flyer when we went on the tour last year,
So we need
and
to,
that was interesting too.
Laminate
because
that and
of
post it.
his anecdotes about like fines, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so much interesting stuff.
Yeah, so we're gonna
maybe
do-
we could
we'll
a
do
little
some-
campaign,
PR campaign for
Yeah.
the grease and also for,
what not to flush.
What not to flush.
Dump, what not to flush.
right,
So
Keep it
the
out of the drains.
infiltration of the groundwater, that, is that a repaired, is that been repaired, or is that something now we know where it is, but we have yet to repair
so I know more about pipes, these kind of sewer pipes than I really wanted to. But apparently they're lined with concrete.
it? Okay,
So, and when they get greasy, the grease attaches to the concrete and somehow breaks it up. And that one that I showed you had a very small opening, there were actually kind of, there was
chunks
a
of concrete.
chunks of greasy concrete that they had to pull out, so that I think that lining some of these, and I don't know why you would do it with concrete again, why not, I don't know, something else. Maybe you can't do it with metal, I guess, I don't know,
Yeah.
don't know the science, but I'm sure that will probably be a recommendation is to, you know. And if you've deteriorated some of the, you know, the wall of the pipe, I would imagine the water's gonna come in, but again, I don't know for sure.
Got it.
And
why we
we'll
have our
we'll have the
expert.
report and that'll be riveting, I'm sure,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
make sure they put the photos.
it's a picture book. We have a contract amendment from Hoyle Tanner. You'll remember that we amended the contract and split the difference with them for the engineering for these 3 culverts. Unfortunately, we discovered after they had completed the work that they had actually designed for a metal replacement on East Pennacook. They designed for a replacement of the metal, and that's not what Dan wants. He thought he'd been clear with them in the past that we are going to precast concrete everywhere. All the other ones we've done recently have been precast concrete, last longer. So I have a number of $24,870 to update the plan to amend the services to redesign, and they have to do redo some of the calculations and the flow rates and all that stuff that they do for the permitting. For $24,000, Dan thinks it'll fit within the East Pennacook 1.1 price tag, but just wanted to let you guys know.
So if Dan has anything to writing down to you.
Not, he does now. Didn't prior to this. Yep. So I don't know if that's something you want to authorize me to sign. Do you guys want to sign it?
We ever had like a miscommunication of this proportion with these folks before?
I don't know the answer to that question. I think that a lot of engineering firms are very busy and overworked, and there's some stuff falling through the cracks.
Yeah.
Because I'm feeling like we have to ride folks a lot harder than we used to.
Mhm.
Just stay in their view and remind them of what our intentions are. So
Mhm.
I don't think so.
Okay, got it.
I will do an offer speaker.
So,
All in favor?
Seconded, all those in favor?
Thank you.
Right.
So let's just like be forthcoming with Dan that we did it, but that it's a little concerning and that he should be like you said.
A letter from the town or something.
She with them that, you know, he wasn't pleased having to go back and ask for more money and hopefully this never happens again.
and hey, communicate in writing, so we avoid the
Yeah.
communications.
I think it's difficult because the person he deals with is somebody in town and it's, you know,
Yeah.
they've done a lot of work for the town. And I mean, the fact that we pushed back on the previous one sent a message and I don't know. In your packet, I threw this in at the very last minute. There's been a request from Paula to use the Merle Dustin Trust Funds to help fund the Brad Myrick Band, who will play on July 4th at the Llewellyn Bandstand as part of the July 4th festivities. It is a $900 charge. And this gets back to the Merle Dustin. And actually what you guys don't see on the reverse side of your agenda is my like pending list, which I'm going to add this to it because it's something we keep coming back to. I'll include the pending list the next time.
There's been, the rec department had live music there in the past few years.
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, which happened the last couple of July 4th.
How was it? Isn't that, I thought that was just a line item already in our budget. It used to be.
Is that like the patriotic purposes one?
Yeah, patriotic purposes and then, you know, that we Well, it used to be budget, but I'd be curious, how, let's say this was not approved, how would they follow?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can ask her. I almost didn't slide it in because it was, I mean, even though she got this to me a bit ago, it had fallen off my radar. So let me do a little more digging and we can revisit it on the 11th.
When you do that, Karen, if you could include, you know, what's the balance in the fund? And how much interest it made over the last year.
Isn't this one we don't hold, or is that? No, the trustees hold
The
it.
trust,
The trustees hold it. Okay.
that's always part of our debate.
I think you might get a loan down here. Never guess.
Yeah.
I could be wrong though.
Yeah.
Where does Patriotic Services live? Is it under administrator?
4583. It's,
Isn't
isn't it?
Look at that.
What?
have all these numbers.
Yeah, if you remember-
Wow, I've been working with these for 10 years.
Oh, my. Patriotic Services 4583, that's pretty good. Okay, so it does, it has $300 for flags and $2,700 for band concert.
Okay, so it was.
Or what?
Let's just inquire.
And I don't remember how much goes out to the town band.
Right, it might be.
Isn't that, what was the first line?
It says patriotic purposes and then hyphen flags.
And that's got 300 or something in it.
$300.
I want to
And
say
then-
that was,
Band concerts, $2,700.
I want to say it was about $300,
Yeah.
but I'll double check
I
it.
don't believe the town band charges.
No, no.
Very.
All right, I'll come back with more info. Couple more contracts to talk about. These are the Novus contracts for professional services. This is an annual post GMP permitting and post-closure monitoring and reporting for 2026. It is included in our operating budget. This one is $24,400. The other one is proposal for groundwatering and monitoring and reporting services, Hopkinton wastewater. That is 11,600. And these are both budgeted in our operating budget. So I was going to sign them and I thought, no, I'm just going to bring them and then I'll sign them.
One of them's for testing, community well, one of them's for testing the wastewater treatment plants.
Yep. And what else do I have? Oh. This.
It's very pretty, what is that?
This
Very pretty.
walked into Emily's office one day from, I believe it was Ryan Hall who brought it in.
We should audience, Karen.
He said he found this in storage at the Dustin Golf Course and they wanted to see if we wanted it.
Of course we did.
And then he left, so we couldn't even like officially accept it. So it was really kind of cute, yeah. So, thank you to
Great.
the Hall family, or I don't even know who, yeah. On the back, it says Chet with best wishes from Stan and, I don't know.
To Chet from Stan.
I don't know. Is there some handwriting on the back? I love these kind of things that come out of the garage or the attic.
Stan and Ruthie,
Oh, is it Ruthie? Okay.
so nice. We definitely want it. Interesting. Love that.
Yeah. That, I believe, is all I've got.
Okay. Thank you. That's a lot. Okay. Where are we? Old business. Appointing committee members. Okay, so we started this conversation last meeting. This involved was not enough meetings since. Is it saying the 20, like, no, it's about
2011?
So we talked about updating them, or?
So I also included Wyndham's policy because I was on their website looking at a different policy and I was like, oh, I wonder what they have for committees. And they seem to have a pretty good one too. So I don't know if we actually want to update anything at this point in time or just kind of operate under sort of what they were doing. They have the part that they went into that that our policy does not. It talks more about committee involvement in before we appoint people in the appointment process. And that was one of the questions that we had a while back.
I think Wyndham's is pretty good.
Yeah.
And I know that I've had committee members reach out with concern that their input wasn't really part of the process. And so, I would be in favor of maybe amending ours to more closely align with this Wyndham's.
Yeah. So, and that brings up another issue you missed at our last meeting, Stephen, which is. We went through a list which. Oh yeah, definitely so helpful. We put our names and like who's in charge of.
Yeah.
These various things, so, and I talked about this with Karen today.
That's goals.
Yeah, I know,
Oh,
but,
okay.
sorry, so the policies though, is one of the.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yep, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm tying it together,
Okay.
so, sorry.
You're jumping ahead because I got stuff on there too.
Well, I know, that I'm doing inventory of our policies and like flagging for the board, which ones seem to be good, which ones maybe we can get rid of, and which ones need to be updated. So I would put this in the category of needing to be updated. So we could, if people are okay, I'm happy to take a crack at updating it with Wyndham's provisions.
Yeah,
Yes, please, I agree.
yep.
So, in our old policy, did it have any of this minimum requirements for attendance?
I don't believe so.
Nope.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, it does leave room, it says extenuating circumstances can be considered, but.
We can certainly tweak that part. We feel like the absences portion was a little stringent.
Do you mind sending me a Word version of the Wyndham policy and our?
Ours, yep.
I would like to see us add something about room. See somebody moves out of town or.
Yeah.
Position.
Just really doesn't show up.
Yeah, and it was pretty fun. So,
Yeah, there was the Conservation Commission person that they had tried to reach out, and I have not heard yet from after having meeting. So it does happen. You're absolutely right.
I mean, the land use boards are trickier. Cause there's a statute that talks about those boards that are removable. But the non-land use ones, I think we have a lot more discretion over.
So we can update the policy. In the meantime, do we want to talk about our list?
Yes, our list.
We have those.
No, our committees.
So-
Committee appointments.
In your drive, you have something that looks like this. This was updated this morning and then it was updated again at noon when another person reached out. So I've heard back from most people that I reached out to.
So just to be clear, you've got committee name and then the names of folks who are basically up for renewal if they're interested in re-upping.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the notes, I've emailed everyone except for Human Services Advisory. I need to get some contact info for that person, but I've sent emails to everyone else. And the ones I've heard from you will they have notes next to them.
You got almost all yeses.
I did. I have one that even said I'd like to be a full member, not an alternate. The other challenge, there's another document, I think it was the one we used, it might be back a couple of meetings. We used it at town meeting when Beverly had that table where we were looking for some folks to sign up. And I'm not sure, she does list vacancies on here, but I'm not sure how accurate it is. It'll change after this, so I think if we decide to reappoint any of these folks, that then we go back and check with committees and say, okay, how many vacancies do you really have? Because it's like on the website I was going by, some of them don't even say how many seats there are, so
Yeah.
it's
good to take
confusing.
An audit.
And again, this
Yeah.
ties in with what Alyssa's working on in terms of kind of an audit. And I may be jumping the gun on that, but at least I feel like we ought to do something with the folks here who are willing to continue.
Yeah, I mean, are we allowed to, for those people who have said they're interested? Are we allowed to nominate them kind of as a slate, or do we need to, consider them name by name, or is this just for our?
I'm
It's not
happy
just For
to,
our information, right, because we're the ones who make the appointment, so.
Neil would reach out and then we would just.
I think he probably came in with a fistful of appointment forms that you signed. And I wasn't sure if I probably should have done that, and I was,
Please do it.
It'd be on the consent agenda,
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'll create forms and we could do it on the 11th.
unless there was a board that we wanted to talk about a little further. Which was pretty rare.
I feel like putting the folks that have said yes on the contingent agenda and then having. Beverly, cross-reference and figure out what is left vacant makes sense.
That sounds good.
You're welcome, okay. Yes,
Okay. This is a helpful video. Thank you, Beverly. So. We spent some time walking through stuff the last meeting. You see your name next to strategic governance.
Thank you.
But we had talked a little bit about, and I like this approach, just like assigning a date and time frame to just like get some stuff done. So my example would be like the policies, I'm gonna talk to Karen today and I'm gonna go through and then hold myself accountable for any disasters and shit, and other like for my review and our. That's gonna be what we do. Obviously, some stuff in the longer term. But I think. I would really we're actually move stuff forward and make progress. If we're each sort of accountable, then. At the very least, we can update everyone's, like, you know, having you set a goal or a time that it's not working out, just, you know, look back as to down a little bit, but. So some of these I think will be like ongoing service strategies. Some. I think it's really just support on, but one I couldn't remember if we made it through a full discussion the last meeting was. The one for the next to it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, up for that.
it was late.
It's just for that improve.
But I want to bring it up with people because I know there was like, I want to just have a conversation about what people's thoughts are sort of about moving forward on Wood Park, because I feel like we put a lot of time in this board and staff put a lot of time in and others contributed time to this plan that's from like 2018-ish. I know there's sort of renewed interest by some people and some people suggested the steering committee. So I was thinking it might make sense to sort of keep the plan that we have, but maybe moving forward, maybe we do have some sort of like committee that helps with projects. And this is just spitballing, you know. Cause I think George Park is one of those. Slow moving, but important. Big picture projects for the town. We don't have to like make any decisions tonight, but this is one I wanna make sure we keep talking about and, you know, people.
I mean, I don't wanna open it tonight necessarily, but my memory was that we were gonna revisit it. Because we were wondering what was the status of the sort of fundraising for the bigger. Items toward the end of our planning horizon, like, you know, and then also. We heard from, I forget if it was Paisa Soccer Club about the orientation of the field. And that it was not the preferred way. And obviously, if we change that, that's a very drastic change in plan and has ripple effects. So, you know. And I think where, at least again, and I know I've missed a few meetings, so I apologize if this is already covered, but I thought. We were gonna look at the last iteration of the plan. And just sort of refresh our memory and then maybe make a more informed decision about. Are we really kind of doing it, or are we doing what you suggested and doing like a series of going forward?
Well, it might be good to just get the, most recent plan. Finalized at some point, it's maybe already been done, if anything, a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Cause I know that it comes up every year from CIP.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, this is what the plan says, here's, and we always struggle with. Are we really implementing this? Because there's some big ticket items coming up and. It would just be nice, I think, to. Either sort of affirm those or, you know, obviously make changes if we no longer agree with that.
The biggest change I think that was made really was moving the road.
Yes,
Right on Kearsarge Ave and changing the parking lot. And then some of the other things that were on that, if I remember correctly, were moving the tennis courts up to the top of the hill. In
Yes.
preparation for the changes, but since then, the tennis courts were layered and what have you. I don't know the lifespan of that, but.
Yeah.
And that was actually donated.
It was.
Yeah.
How does your brain change?
It's holding up well.
Well, I just need to dig up. I know they did this somewhere in the plans for 2018.
Dan must have a set.
Power-
Okay, I can look and see if there was a PowerPoint.
I mean, I know I had it somewhere. Okay.
There was concern on behalf of staff of reopening this and making changes, making drastic changes.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'll say that that's a.
Changes to the plan or changes to the area of town?
The plan.
The plan.
I appreciate it, and I'm not saying that that's where we ought to go for sure, but I don't remember the details and so. Well. Yeah, I think it would help to. Familiarize myself.
Before we spend a lot of money, make sure
Yeah.
that,
I appreciate their concerns, and I think maybe the middle ground is like some version of, we sort of stick with the plan, but then maybe we have some sort of committee that helps with projects moving forward.
we can do fundraising.
And do fundraising.
I'm concerned that the plan is 8 years old, but I respect the staff wholeheartedly, but I'm not comfortable with assuming that the plan that's 8 years old shouldn't be changed.
Yeah, that is fair. Absolutely.
It sounds a little much.
Certain things, I was saying to Karen, like, there were certain things like the sequencing all made sense, like they had to do certain. Unexciting things, but important things, like they were leveling parts of like the baseball field or something, they shifted some stuff and there was like a fencing part that went up, so certain things have been done, even though people might not necessarily know that we've made progress, but. There was a method to why we had the timing the way we did, certainly things have been pushed off. But the new track was always like a long time away, that was always like a distant future.
Yeah,
But perhaps it would be helpful for us to just discuss that plan
dust it off, see what it looks like.
Take a look, and, I mean, I think we're moving forward with the math with either way, so it's not like we have some urgency around like coming up with some firm plan at the moment, but I wanna keep this one on the discussion radar.
So
Okay.
who's gonna bring us back to, like, reminding us, yeah, what was
Well,
the
Steve's
plan?
name is on there, but I add my name. This feels like a group one, but I feel like.
I think you'd be at it.
I'm happy to keep this on my to-do list.
I will happily reach out to Dan to see what he's got for actual drawings. See if we can borrow them to bring in and I could do a search on Neil's computer to see if there's anything that
There
jumps out.
was,
Yeah,
And I, you can use that discussion to do the other goal that's here. And it's the donation policy one, and I only bring that up because I know that's been much discussed recently. And if we're assigning a priority to some of these, it seems like donation policies ought to be toward the top.
Yeah,
So that's all I wanted to say.
that's good, select board has been assigned.
yeah, but you're right, it filters down into the horseshoes or the future of George Park fundraising and all of that.
It's a really lot.
I was, it may have been on Wyndham's website that I think I saw a pretty good donation policy, so I'll look around and see if I can get some, borrow some from other people.
So Byron Carr did say to me that there is at least a form that exists if you want to donate something to the town, form you fill out. So I didn't,
I think the form is probably for something like that picture. That frames that picture,
not for,
not necessarily for cash donations. I mentioned to Louise Carr actually, that one avenue that could be explored is creating a trust fund with trustees for purposes of X. And so that could be done really directly through the trustees and trustees. And so rather than having and even some of the funds that we have currently that we know that the auditors don't really like, that might be an avenue to maybe transition those. If they're still permanent, trustee trust funds.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so we can look at the umbrella policy. And then, yeah, I think we definitely need Kelly's input too.
And HMA might have some good stuff to us.
I feel like we need a name and not just select board next to it. As part of our like division of labor and not sort of repeating our conversations again and again.
Like Vicky, maybe?
No. Nope, I'm too close to it.
Yeah.
See the little separation
I can-
from
I can
that.
put mine in there.
All right, we'll do that. And I may not have gotten all of that down correctly. We were talking about, we were all over the place last week, and so I took a bunch of notes, but I think I got them right, so I may have misreported something there.
So for my three, reviewing our current funds. Understanding our options with the TIF, and then just developing a clear strategy for next year's budget. I sort of mapped out over the summer what Karen and I could look into so that in September, when things start in earnest, we already have maybe answers to a lot of preliminary questions. One of the things that isn't on here verbatim, but that we've talked about is the maintenance trust off of the CIP committees. So that's included in this as well, so I'm giving myself, unless y'all consider it too late, I'm giving myself a deadline of the first meeting of September to be able to like come back and report on all of this different stuff, which gives Karen and I basically the summer
Yeah.
to dig into the TIF, to meet with department heads, and to see like the maintenance, you know, kind of like removing the maintenance trust from the CIP committees, mission.
Sounds reasonable.
So let me just give you my pending list, because it did include the discussion with the CIP committee.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna want to have that before September, because
no, you and I are having all these meetings before September.
Okay,
And then we come back to this board in September.
okay, so we're gonna meet with the CIP.
You and me are-
Okay, so because we had talked about them coming into before the.
And we should do that, but I
Okay.
think you and me, we're gonna have some more.
Powwows.
like- Yeah, it's powwows, love that, exactly.
Okay, perfect.
With every single department is my goal, including not every single committee, but every single department and CIP
Okay,
and the planet. We're gonna do it, it's gonna be fun.
it'll be great. Okay, would I derail things if I threw these out? Because some of these may fall in there, and the horseshoe pile, that's one of them. The TIF discussion, there's a specific structure that is supposed to be in place that is not in place. And Beverly has mentioned it more than once as she's looked at some of the TIF documents, that we should put that in place, and that's kind of a low-hanging fruit before we start talking about the bigger picture of
Yeah.
what do we do with our TIFs
Sure, we're doing what we're supposed.
that we
to do.
have. Yep, yeah,
Absolutely.
okay,
Do you wanna, maybe you and me and Beverly should sit down? and
yes,
have
that would be
conversation?
great.
Let's do
Yeah.
that,
Okay,
and then we can report back to this board on it as soon as we say, like, we need to make sure we have an 8-member board that includes somebody from the.
exactly, yep.
Can I just connect with you after the meeting and give some history on some of that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because
absolutely.
I'm aware of some of the issues, and it's just been really challenging. Filling them forward.
I bet, yep. Community and Economic Development Coordinator position, we don't wanna let that slide. A conversation with the or the EDC, just kind of a, let's stop and take, or pause and take stock of what's been done, where are we now, and where might we wanna go. The maintenance trusts, and then I was going through some old minutes or old notes, and the conversation with Webster regarding the lagoon closure, the financing, all of that. I don't know that we need to do that immediately. Again, we don't need that. This whole thing isn't gonna need to be decided until we're closer to completing the project, but I think they've felt pushed off.
Yes, I think David would appreciate knowing that we are not letting that.
Yeah,
run
and then
by.
Merle Dustin was one I just added tonight, so I will try to keep this going so that we don't lose some of these little things.
So. When Karen and I start these conversations, even as early as like next month, I'm hoping we can all agree. On these like certain assumptions, or if not, then correct me if I'm wrong, but. So. The landfill cap repair. Is that to be started and completed in this calendar year? Not cesspools, the crack.
The crack, that is what I believe the intention for funding it this year was.
Okay,
I did respond to the engineer who kind of had guided us through our different options and said, okay, we've got funding approved, what's next?
Right.
And he was gonna go back and confer with whoever he needs to confer with to figure out what we need to do.
so
How it should be.
take that, but we're gonna assume that can be contained within this year.
Yes,
Whereas the cesspool construction is contained within this year and next year.
Yep.
Combined. And then Penfield Road culvert is supposed to be contained within this one
This
year,
year.
because next year is Broad Cove. Okay, I just want, those are like
Yep.
those are big projects that I don't wanna lose track of when we're expected to fund them. And that'll help us with all of our other
Yes,
stuff.
yep. Dan has talked to Weaver Brothers. They're very busy down on 202 and 9 right now. So I think the East Pennacook may slide a little bit into the middle of the summer before starting. I think he said it's probably like a 6-week project.
Okay.
2-week closure maybe.
Okay, so yeah. We're gonna have a fun summer, again, I had a lot of stuff.
Okay, so we will have more discussion on all of these things, but I think we need to move on. Unless people have other pressing things.
Steve, did you want to talk about this one? You said you had some follow-up thoughts on. It wasn't this one. On,
Who's your liaison versus member?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, no.
yeah.
My thoughts on, our membership on various committees would be, because I've looked at some other towns and how they do it, and some don't necessarily, need to do requirements by the state or. But some of the other ones that we are members on those committees, is it really necessary for it to be belong members or just committees? And I think the reason in a lot of with respect to a lot of these committees might be better suited where the chair of those committees can simply work one-on-one with one of us to funnel information to come here as needed. Whereas maybe we don't need to go. They don't want us there, I don't know. I feel that some of those committees, I don't know that, like, if I have a whole lot to offer to open space, I've been through it before and I enjoy those conversations and learning about their projects that they're looking into, but most of what they're doing is their group and their work, and I don't add.
Yeah, and their work is kind of rolling a lot of the time.
Yeah,
Being
a lot of
with
stuff they've been,
information.
I'm just picking on them, but they work on projects for years and years. And so would it make more sense for some of those committee assignments to simply be liaisons? I just don't know the rules around that, so.
Hmm.
I don't think there really are any rules for anything, certainly that select board appointed.
Only the ones that are in the statute.
Anyway, that's just what I want to make sure we at least have, that we don't have to make a decision on any of that stuff tonight, but it would be nice to kind of look into that and sit down and maybe since really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll absentees, right?
And then they don't get
Right.
four. Yeah. No, it's.
Yeah, you're not a member, so, yeah.
Right, so,
When,
I mean, I know that there might be, I know that there sometimes are membership issues where forums are getting anyway, but,
hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Okay. Can we move on to job description?
Yes. When we went out to advertise the deputy town clerk tax collector position, I think I brought this to you, but we didn't formally adopt it. We cleaned it up. Beverly has been doing a great job as we are filling positions, standardizing our job descriptions so they look the same, contain the same information. So I just would like to highlight that the deputy one we have looked at before. The administrative assistant for the police department, that just was advertised in the last couple of weeks. And the finance assistant has not yet been advertised, but is ready to go. That one is one that apparently used to exist. Kelly's asked for a couple of years to put money in for somebody up to like 10 hours a week, just to help her, with some clerical stuff in her office, which is what she really needs. So we'd like to approve these and.
The only comment I had that maybe it's not, for all three of these under environment, is it worth going 95 inside, 5% outside? Only because there are situations where the deputy town clerk might need to go to
The mailbox.
vault or the mailbox, or, you know.
Oh,
does-
fan on
Probably not, but, you know, I don't know, just, does it make sense to do that? Is it necessary? You know, we run into a problem. Now, it says it's inside. Is it worth it? Is it? I don't know. I just.
We can certainly do
It's
that.
the only thing that I thought.
I don't think it hurts to put it in there.
Yeah. Yeah, all, bang.
Yeah.
It's,
On all,
critically
on all three of them?
my-
Okay. Yep.
I thought these all looked good. And thank you for working on, thank you.
Beverly's, she is a workhorse. She, you know, give her information and she just does magic.
Okay. Do you need anything else?
Motion to approve the three of these or adopt or whatever.
Yeah, all in favor?
I,
I'm so ready.
Okay, sorry, Vicky.
I'm sorry, guys.
Sabrina, did you want to touch on Alyssa's email? Or,
I didn't really get a chance to skim it. But, was there stuff in there that we should discuss tonight? Let's see, oh yeah, Memorial Day fair.
yeah, the fair one, maybe.
Okay, so Alyssa checked in with Beth. Who's Beth?
Fair basket,
Across the street, yep.
Okay.
my assumption.
Calls are in progress. Beth learned there's a process for event signs and is progressing with the work
This is for the signage on 89 for the
it's not in where is it?
the Brimfield,
It is,
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
No updates on housing. Oh, she went to the Meadows community meeting. It was a meet and greet. Did anyone go to that? Alright, so I think Earth Day cleanup. The waste reduction committee was not in town like this year, huh? Okay, Alyssa's in the process of connecting with Bonnie with Christine and other members to explore cleanup in May. That's too bad, they always. Right? Transportation cleanup. Jolene and Dan gave the go ahead for our transportation cleanup day. Alyssa's gonna nail down a day and keep everyone in the loop.
That's great.
Okay, sorry, I can say yes to the job descriptions.
Alright, she's working on the website, social media policy, committee restructuring. And share a draft, those were all the goals she was assigned to. Okay. Was there something else, anything else, Karen, I just.
So I'm sorry, the cleanup day at the dump is different than townwide Earth Day.
Which
Okay.
apparently not. Unless you have a date in there.
But people could still go clean up on their own.
Because.
Yeah.
I think that, I don't know where the blue bags come from, but. You
Well,
know,
in the past, if you made it back to. Cookie by a certain time, you could put the trash in this pile and like,
They would weigh it.
Yeah.
I would just encourage, as you guys embark on your goals, to work with your staff people on it. Because they have potential information and stuff that will be helpful.
So the next up is public forum. We're in the room, which is.
No, we got 3 people online.
Good evening, everybody. Just took down a couple notes as we were going over your discussion here. I was curious, the breakdown sheet kind of like a pie graph that Beverly had, if that is gonna be posted somewhere online to, so that people could see it, because I think this being such a large project, I don't know when it's up, but it sounds like that might be helpful, like it's starting, people, here it is. It's that up,
yeah.
out, maybe
We
that's
can give you a
helpful.
copy of that one.
You can have my.
I'll take a copy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it, thank you.
But we'll ask Beverly to put it online.
It just, it seems like. I would know that, hey, this is moving forward, that's great.
Well, that's several different projects though.
They're all big projects and. good to-
Right, yeah, yep.
And then there's a circle outside of it.
Yeah, there's the cap, we're
The
gonna,
cap
the
circle.
cap circle.
When the fire chief was speaking about the new vehicle, I believe he said on the prior vehicle that's going away, there was a plow on that, and maybe that was part, not on that line.
No, no, this is the older vehicle, the newer truck is now, it's plowed.
So, okay, so that older one, well, this new replacement one coming in. I didn't know if that was part of what Stephen was asking, where that gap was and whether a new plow frame or something, if we were swapping them plow labor, just curious.
No, this truck would be set up for plow.
Gotcha. I just was thinking that still was kind of a large gap there. I know what you were talking about. And then over to McLean's, it seems like this, I happen to get caught up in that because I tend to drive home through that, so I've experienced it several times and the dangers of, okay, what are we gonna do? You've got 3 charges, so it's just, I don't care. I guess you got it and go home. But it seemed like that area where they have the big barrels, that's too close to the highway and they couldn't utilize that. And obviously the gate's where the gate is. My thought, and I haven't looked at an overview, but maybe a potential would be to go beyond that gate and then go into where the employees park, into that parking lot of the tractor trailers and somehow loop back towards the gate, staging 2 or 3 trucks across, in their own parking lot on the road and then through the gate. And I don't know if there's a gap way in there, how that logistically would work out, but every time I'm coming through there, it seems like there's additional parking
Yeah,
further beyond, and maybe they could request some of their employees park further over there, and maybe that would alleviate, it might be a solution to get 2 or 3 more trucks staged
without having to
off the road.
turn around.
And without them having to take on a huge expense, maybe a little different paving or something, but it's just a suggestion there that doesn't seem like anyone's coming up with a solution, nor is it your job to. But anyways, those were my thoughts, and certainly would like to hear more about this TIF district, because I have reservations about another 550,000 going into exit 6, or not having a discussion about what the process is with that out of the tax base, because we have over $1 million sitting in there now with no one at the helm. And I don't know if subcontracting, selling a contractor, not a town employee, to manage that would be another option. It wouldn't be an ongoing commitment, but hey, we've got, and hey, what can someone offer? I don't know how you drop that up, but it wouldn't be us putting them on insurance and this and that, but maybe if there's some sort of outside firm that helps with this sort of stuff. Maybe that, I don't know if anyone thought about that, probably. Just my 2 cents, but that 550,000 going in there annually, continuously until something's done to meet us. I think our funds could be utilized elsewhere in the town more pertinently. And maybe we could readdress the funding, not
Just all that. That's my thought.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's not lost on me that the year-over-year operating budget increase is less than the amount of money that we reserved for the TIF district last year.
It is one of the things we're gonna figure out. Anyone online? Anyone else? All right. I'm gonna go to that because we are going to join us this evening. I don't have any committee updates because I didn't realize we should have meeting until the night before and then I couldn't make it, so. Anyone else in the community update?
Nope.
Anything for other?
I just have something in about a month. NHDOT Bridge Maintenance Division is gonna be performing sidewalk rebuilds on the Stone Arch Bridge in the center.
Really?
Project's supposed to last about a month, month and a half, and they're going to be shutting down lanes
One side of it.
each day with light traffic signals. And they'll break that down at the end of every day. So.
Those ones that are,
Yeah.
those ones are like up on a boom
Something.
that they put on the either end of a bridge work, okay?
So is Dan in the loop on that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I had to contact a lot of people to find this out. And the only reason, okay, so I'll just put out another one. In the center of town, because I pay way too much attention to things. There's.
So they say way too much taxes.
This is why I pay attention. There are grade stays along the center of town and they have dig stays and then they say HDOT. And so I contacted this person, then this person, who finally got back to me and told me what they were doing. But the project's not listed on mine either. But yeah, I guess it's quite a project and there's fiber optic lines that run in that and all that. So that's why it's gonna take some.
So when we touch base with Dan, this might be a note to DOT about communication with the town when they're doing major projects, like when they did anything on the, they did school day versus school and no one didn't knew about it.
Yeah,
Maybe see another teachable moment, like it would be helpful if we had heads up on major projects.
or maybe not. No,
You notice the
Gotcha.
in that project soon.
He said they're finishing up a project right now on her, and they'll be making their way down about a month. And then it'll be a month and a half.
who's your contact? Are you willing to share?
I have, yeah, I'll
Share, yes, that would be great, thank
He
you.
said he was gonna report back on his timing, when we got closer, he just. I just want to find out. what they do.
The DOT contact for the traffic circle being built has been decent at, staying in touch and letting us know what's going on. So I don't think it's probably a different project manager.
It's a totally different division and everything.
Yeah,
Even the bridge maintenance division. Didn't know the answer to the question. They had to call instead of the,
okay,
I don't know.
Well, thanks for the.
thank you. Yes, good to know.
Okay, we have 3 non-publics today, and then we'll ignore the next step of the business, so. I would move that we go into non-public under RSA 9183 2A and also B.
I was second.
Okay, it's roll call vote, Vicky? Yes. Stephen?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
okay. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. Thank you. Thank you very much.